Okay, so another day of doing dev things. Now we're doing these videos a little bit later in the evening than normal. This has a lot to do with me attempting to get the fuel generator working for a client's commission project. I don't know what's with this thing. It wants to work perfectly fine in the dev environment. As soon as you take it to a live environment like a normal Minecraft client, it just shits all over itself. The only thing it's able to do is figure out that it itself exists, which running this code right here, it'll find a list of all objects and it will come back saying, hey, I found myself, and then it'll go like, yeah, I found myself, and then it'll stop at this line. It won't find any of the sentry guns nearby, it won't do anything else. I've been making corrections to debug. I know for sure that it is finding stuff now, and I have confirmed that it is working, but that's not what this video is going to be about. As I promised, we're going to get back into working on the nuclear blast code. And hopefully I'll be updated to 1.8 here pretty soon. It's still a work in progress on that by itself and not going smooth whatsoever. So let's go ahead and close all this stuff down since I'm done working on it for the day. And let's get back into the blast code. What I'm going to do right now is just go ahead and launch ICBM so we can see where we left off. Last video we finished layered explosives, as I like to call them, but they're pretty much just post triggers, how it works. So the main blast will go off, then it'll trigger a thermal, then it will trigger a EMP-based system. Now this needs a lot more work. We kind of need to propagate these explosions one at a time because each one of them is going to damage its environment. So if I'm triggering, say, a thermal and EMP at the same time, some of the tiles I may have wanted to EMP are no longer going to be there. We want the EMP to run as early as possible as well, so that way we screw up whatever we hit. Now we do want the actual damaging blast itself to run first, because at the point of contact of a nuke going off, one of the first things that's going to happen is the localized material is just going to vanish. Now realistically, all of these would run at the same time, as in real life. As the ground is being screwed up, radiation is going to be thrown everywhere, EMP is going to go off, thermal energy is going to be released, and etc., etc. This all happens at exactly the same time. But we have no way to trigger these all at the same time and end up a good result, as we're running on a computer, and a computer can only do one thing at a time unless you multi-thread, which even though we do have multi-threads, we can still only do one thing at a time. We can only place one block in the world at a time, or damage one block, or EMP one block at a time. So we're going to have to engineer a solution for this, and it's going to take a while. Might have to do quite a bit of odd things to make stuff work. What we may end up having to do is make the main destructive blast do a micro localized EMP, so that way if it hits a force field, it's going to mess up the force field. And then we will do a secondary larger EMP, because theoretically, how I'm picturing it in my head is we would have, actually, let's pull paint up for this. Huh, the YMail client now shows pictures. That's cool. Okay, so how I'm picturing this in my head is we would have a center blast here that had an atomizing core in the middle. You would then have a thermal shockwave, debris shockwave, and then your EMP shockwave. And I'll color each one of these real quick so it makes it a little easier to see. So that's your destructive core, thermal, and then you got debris. So this is kind of how the blast will work out. So you'll have this red circle in the middle is going to be actual destruction of terrain. Then you're going to have a thermal barrier where heat's going to be generated in such a high intensity, it's going to melt things, it's going to destroy things, it's going to mess things up. You'll then have a burst shockwave that'll break light objects, it'll mess up wood, knock down trees, kill grass. Then you'll have this huge EMP, and then on top of that, you'll have a fallout cloud, which will go out to that distance. So you'll have radiation being spewed everywhere. And then you would also have an instant burst of radiation somewhere in the middle here. So the instant burst, as I discussed yesterday, will be pretty much, it'll kill you almost right away. And then the fallout cloud is just going to be things that are going to slowly kill you, and a variety of that. So that's kind of what I'm picturing here. I'm going to actually just save this. So we'll do nuke. I'll make a better diagram of this later. I'll put it up on the Google Drive, and for those of you who have access to the Patreon, you'll be able to see it. But yeah, that's what we're going to work off of. So go ahead and get into here, and I'll show, for those who haven't been following along, I'll show the blast and kind of how we're heading with it. There's a lot more work we still have to do. As I noted, the Pathfinder, even though we have fixed it, is still not where I want it to be. So we'll get the nuke. I haven't updated the icon. We may actually do that really quick, is get the icons running. After all, Phil did make us these nice icons, and then we're not using them. Let's see. Yeah, hit that spot. No real major FPS drop from this. It's actually running really, really well. So we get a crater. It actually is now destroying water properly. And then we get our thermal blast, which goes off, which I didn't know we're going to have to fix after, because I want fire. I don't want this much lava. This is way too much lava, and it doesn't go away. So it's a permanent addition to the world, which is not very good, because it will greatly hinder cleanup activities, which we don't really want to hinder. We want to actually kind of make it somewhat easy to clean up after a nuclear blast, but time consuming, but not this time consuming where you have so much lava that you have to abandon the site. Plus it just looks unsightly to have all this lava. So we're going to have to make a custom thermal for the nuke that does not generate lava blocks. Or we can change the thermal system to not place lava blocks. I'm more game for fixing the thermal blast because it's a little overpowered as it is. Quite a lot of work we got to do. It's the reason why I've been avoiding working on the nuke in the first place, is there is so much that goes into doing this, because we're not just doing an oversized firecracker like we had in the old classic version of ICBM. Speaking of which, if I had the classic version of ICBM running right now, which, you know what, I'm going to really quickly restart here, add it into the run list, so hit File, Project Structure. We'll go down to this down here, hit plus, and then we want to add the classic version. So next time we launch, I can go ahead and compare the two and show you kind of where we're at missing wise. While that's launching, let's go down here and open up our files and start to take a look at the nuclear blast and get things going here. Okay, we can get rid of this stuff. We're going to handle that over here as we did in the last video. Here's our post trigger where we trigger the EX thermal and other stuff. Take a look at the thermal explosion. Now, the thing with how the thermal, by the way, behaves, it does behave through our heat system. So somewhere in the heat system is noted that it can place lava in place of stone bricks or stone blocks. Kind of don't want to do that. Let's take a look at this and see what we can kind of look at. This is all, by the way, the reason these numbers are so large, they're in Kelvin. That's the reason you'll look at the main world dimension is at 293, which should be about 70 degrees. If we can pull over a window here, K2C, Celsius, then we change this to Fahrenheit, it's 67 degrees, which is about room temperature. This, of course, deserts would be so-and-so. Okay, so in here somewhere is stone. So we have melting points. Default melting point, default temperature of material. I'm going to say it's probably one of these real quick. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go, stone to lava. At a temperature of 1,293. So if we pull our web page, which we closed already, so we pull this back over here, if I do history, There we go. Pull that back up. So yeah, that's hot. So that logic makes sense, but what we're turning it into is lava, which does not make sense. We could turn it into moving lava block, which would not result in a still lava, and that would dissipate over time. We wanted to turn it into something though, and lava is not what I wanted to turn into. It's supposed to do heated rocks, but the temperature is just so high because the blast radius is really big. So hence why we're getting lava instead of getting heated rocks, which by the way, I probably can't get heated rocks to show up correctly. It's really difficult to get them to work because they are for lower temperatures. They're mainly designed if you guys build a nuclear reactor and you case it in stone, the stone will start to warp and get messed up. What is? Oh, it's sand over there. My eyesight sucks more than I think it does when I sit there and look at sand and I think it's something weird. Okay, so we have it should have ICBM Classic in here. I think I accidentally. Well, there's MFFS. Odd. I didn't remember adding that to the workspace. Oh well. Why does the tier 3 platform look like it's not textured? It is, but how weird. It's only having a problem in the creative tab. Okay, so we want to compare the nuclear blast. If I can find it. I'm eventually going to redo the icons for this stuff and make it easier to understand which each one of these are. Not only is the nuclear blast from the classic version really, really laggy, it kind of really doesn't do much in particular. It's got a lot more of a rougher crater due to how Calclavia coded it. I might end up using something very similar because it actually does result in some really nice cratering. This is kind of what you would more expect of a blast, not this really nice smoothness what we got over here. But as you notice, the classic version no longer does anything really particular. It just kind of damages stuff and then leaves a crater. And then if we had radiation blocks, it would spew radiation blocks around. And there's nothing really major to it. It's even not even dangerous because you could run around with something like a mechanism silk touch drill thing and pick up all the radiation blocks, and then all of a sudden the area is safe again. What we want to do with the newer nuclear detonation is to make it really deadly, really dangerous, especially considering the crafting recipes for these are going to be ridiculous. Plus we want to make sure it's all threaded. Threading actually results in a much quicker destruction behavior. But the only problem with the threading is it ends up with this nice bowl shape, which we want it to be rougher like that too, that's the reason why I said I got a lot more to do with the Pathfinders, because I don't want this clean bowl shape every time we set something off. And especially when you consider the fact that most explosives, when they go off, do not penetrate deep into the ground. They usually actually go out further in radius than they do go deep-wise. This one goes equal in all directions because it doesn't understand that there's a resistance factor. This is where we need to implement a energy-based Pathfinder, which I've noted in previous videos, the one we do already have runs way too slow. It actually can take it hours to detonate an area this size because it's not designed for that. Yeah, we need to fix this lava situation. We could implement placement data. There actually is a thing for that. Placement data result, which will do the block and metadata. I think actually I just need to new placement data. And what I want to do is just do like 1 or something. Yeah, that'll work. Because then we won't get full blocks out of this, and this will be at least a temporary fix. As the reality of it is, this is correct. That is the melting point of stone right there. Now let's go ahead and restart this and see what that does for us. If that doesn't get us anything good, what we might do is we're going to come through here and we're just going to manually make our own thermal system. Because what I want is I do want molten rock, but I want it to solidify. So the high likelihood is we're going to have to make our own version of lava that then hardens over time. And I want it to harden into weird shapes and stuff like that. That won't be too difficult to do because all I have to do is make a version of lava that flows, and then make a version of it that doesn't flow, that is solid. It just once it updates, it's there and it's in its set position. And surprisingly, the render code for fluids is recyclable. You can reuse it for whatever you want to. There's a few mods that use it for decorative blocks. Nobody has really caught on that that's what they're doing. Yeah, one of the things I actually do also work on is Steam support. I actually have Voltage loading up in Steam because I was getting tempted to actually add Steam integration to Minecraft. There's a couple mods you can actually do it with, but my ideals are a lot stronger than what I think that mod has, including ability to like join people, chat to them through in-game, do a variety of different things. I haven't quite figured it out yet. Kind of wish Minecraft was accessible via Steam already, because it'd be nice to be able to install mods through Steam. Be like, oh, I want to go play with this mod, this mod, this mod, and it just downloads off the workshop. Although we would have a whole bunch of problems by ourselves with that, because Steam, I believe, would only support the latest, and that means the workshop would only show the latest mods. It's actually one thing I'm grateful that Factory doesn't come with a workshop by default. And you have to go use their workshop, because with their workshop you can select what mods you want to download. They aren't automatically downloaded for you. Speaking of which, we might be doing a stream here, or not stream, might be doing a Let's Play series here later for Factorio. I have to see how open people are to it. We're going to be making another server for it here pretty soon, and actually getting back into it, playing it, and potentially making mods for it again. Okay. So we've already screwed this area up, so we're going to move on. Gravel gold. That's a lot of gravel ore right there. What mod is this? I want to say it's Tankers. It's a lot of ore. Weird. Got confused which rocket launcher was which. Be honest, here later it's not going to matter. They'll both be the same rocket launcher, code-wise. So that ran pretty well. Then you got some of the secondary explosions running. Okay. These look like non-full blocks, so eventually these will decay. Yeah, they're already starting to decay. So as long as they decay, it's pretty good. How are we doing frame rate? It is tanking my frame rate pretty bad to have all this fire nearby. Not too bad. I just gotta add some radiation particles to this. Blinding shockwave. So two things we're gonna work on. We're gonna do the blinding shockwave, which is actually gonna be pretty easy. What are we doing here? Oh, that's just a Pathfinder telling me it's running. I'm probably going to want to add to this Pathfinder what actual blast it is and why it's not finding any blocks. With the EMP though, I'm probably going to redo the EMP pretty soon to just find tile entities and then just affect tile entities. I'm probably no longer going to activate it per block, because most of the stuff that is affected is tile entity based, although I do have to pathfind from it to the explosion. Luckily, that's not going to be as hard, because I think I can use an A-star pathfinder that would be a little faster. Because how the A-star would work is it would try to map towards the target So try to map from the center of the blast to the tile rather than trying to map the entire path. Minecraft zombies use something similar to it. It's the reason why they're not absolutely horrible on the CPU. Okay, so let's see. We're gonna want to implement some fragmentation. That's something that needs to be done, and then we're gonna want to do we'll do the blinding thing first, then I'll get the fragmentation here later. So I'll go ahead and queue up some classes here. So we want blast, radiation. I spelled that completely wrong. Let me use Google to fix this. I've been awake since like 4 in the morning, so the fact I've been overworking myself is finally catching up to me.
Radiation.
That is a weird voice. Google's voices can be unusual. Okay, so this is going to be our radiation spike. We're then going to want to do blast flash. And then we're going to do blast shock wave. Okay, so blast flash is the one we're going to work on real quick. This is just going to extend the first blast, because we're not going to edit any blocks with this. This is literally just going to find all entities nearby and pretty much screw them over. So what we want to do is... Do we want to do a threaded system for this? We'll have to revisit this. I'm going to run this without a thread because the way we're going to do it right now is just going to be unthreaded. But in theory, I could thread this behavior. I think -1 is what it should be. And then we want to do affect others. And then what we want to go is, okay, anybody who's looking towards the blast is going to get blinded. This one's going to be a little tricky because we don't want to just ray trace to the center of the blast. We want to do a field of view check pretty much. So we want to go, okay, is the blast in my field of view? So it's like an angle rotation thing. And then do I have a clear line of sight? I guess maybe we have to do a ray trace anyways. There's a special way I can run this through the graphics card that would work, but unfortunately I don't have access to the graphics card through Minecraft. Unless I do some really stupid shit, and I'm not going to do it today. So we do want to do super.do affect others, so we can do this code right here, but we want to get rid of this code, and we want to actually want to do it this way. So we want to run it before black placement because it doesn't matter. We want to get every entity within range. So entity list equals world.get entities within certain distance. And we don't exclude it, we just want to get entities. Get entities. This be entity.class. We want to grab everything because there are some entities that would be affected by this that are not an instance of things like entity living. And then we want to provide a bounding box. Actually, you know what? How we're going to do this? We're going to do new cube. And we're going to do x, y, z. Actually, we'll do it this way. We'll go 2pods.subtract size. I'll do 2 adds. So it's not going to be really efficient, but I mean, we're only running this once, so it doesn't matter. Get entities within and then world. That'll be a little faster because then I don't have to go through Minecraft version. And I need to make all this code Minecraft independent anyways, so when we update to newer versions, we're not getting fucked over by stuff changing on us. So we want to go entity list. Right now we're just going to go entity is instance of entity living base because I think it's the only thing we can apply potion effects to. Our first check we want to run is the entity even facing the explosion? I'm trying to remember how to do this. So I think it's, we're going to go pause equals new pause entity. Euler angle to pause. So it'd be final pause center equals this. And really quickly we can save a little bit of RAM by doing that. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to actually grab the rotation angle to the center. So angle to center. And then we want to get the rotation of the entity's head. And then we want to decide say 30 degrees. Uh, 50 would actually be better. So what we're doing here, let me pull paint out for those that may not be following because I'm kind of a little sluggish here, is say this is our entity's head, and say the blast was over here. The entity is facing this way, and our angle is this way, and what we're trying to say is that the angle between these two needs to be within 50 degrees. Because at this point, light that's emitting from this is still going to hit you in the side of the face. If you've ever been in the sunlight before, you'll know that even if you turn your head away from the sun, you're still going to have a decent amount of it coming into your eyes from the side of your head. Let me draw another picture. So say that was your face. I cannot draw, but your eye kind of is not flat on your face. It sticks out just a little bit. And say sunlight was coming directly in at 90 degrees, you would still get a little bit of sunlight in your eye. Now imagine a blast which is going to be multiple times the intensity of the sunlight. If it hits you even in the side, it's going to blind you. Yeah. Drawing time over. So we want to get 50 degrees, and then we want to go, okay, if we are within 50 degrees, then clearly we're within the range of effect. And then what we want to do is we want to ray trace to the player's head, or entity's head. So we want to go, okay, pause head equals this plus add 0. We're going to go entity dot get eye offset. So we kind of want to ray trace to the eyes, and then we want to go head dot ray trace. And it's not a direction here. We actually want to ray trace exactly to a point, so it's to the end. And this would be to the center. Right now we're just going to ray trace to the blast center because we don't want to overly code this until we can get it threaded. Our hit dot type doesn't equal moving object position dot type block. Then we want to apply a potion effect. So I believe it's like what, new potion effect. We're actually going to control B this real quick because it's been such a long time since I've done potions. Okay, there's wither. So this is the format we want to run. So we're going to grab this and just copy this whole line. So be entity. And then we don't want to run wither, we want to do blindness.getID. I think this is the duration, and yeah, so this will be potion ID, duration, amplifier is ambient. So say maybe blindness 2. We'll see this run here in a second because I'm not going to do a creative mode check on it. So if we set this off and I'm looking at it, I will get blindness. Then all we need to do is go to here and we just need to add it to our list. This does need to be registered, so I'm going to have to I might throw this in another package real quick. Package potion. I'm actually going to copy that, toss that in there. EX flash is what we're going to call this. We want to get rid of all of this, and then we just want to replace this. Blast flash. Place all. And then what is our default scale size going to be? I want to say 1, so we won't have to worry about that. Don't need this part. And we're just going to call it flash. And then we just need to register this. Now I want to copy this whole line, and we got to go register it again and over here. Because where it was a client-side registry, this is the server-side registry. Eventually, I'm going to get these two kind of merged into one set here later. Most likely to be handled via the JSON system. We'll handle the fact that there's a separate client version from the server version, but that'll happen down the road. That isn't something I'm going to worry about right this moment. But that gives us our flash, and then what we want to do is we just kind of want to set the flash off, and flash is going to have, let's say, 20 times the radius, and then we have no extra data for it. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. And then when we get this done, I'm going to call it the end of the video because I badly need more coffee, and I'm about to run out. And this time it's actually coffee, it's not tea, so I'm not referring to tea as coffee. I actually broke down and got myself some coffee today. It's not helping at all, though. After we get this working, probably the next video we do, which I don't know if it'll be today or tomorrow, we'll keep working on it, and then hopefully we'll be able to get to radiation here. Radiation is one of the big things I do need to add because ICBM Classic still doesn't have radiation particles for its nuke, and I want to make sure that both the classic version and the new ICBM version use the same type of radiation effect. That way, if I develop any tools to counteract it, there's not a conflict between the two. Now, the new radiation system is not going to be block-based. You can't simply just shovel up a block and the radiation is gone. It will, I don't want to say permanently, it will attach itself to the world. So that chunk it goes off in will have a radiation value in it, and it will affect things. It will be cubic based, so it won't, like, if you go underground, you won't get affected by radiation. It'll still be more surface level. There will be ways to remove it. For example, if you remove all the dirt in that chunk, it will go away. I'll have to work on it, though. It'll be just like the heat map. So the heat map stores heat per location in the world. That way, if you build a thermal generator, it will relay heat to any block nearby it that can then pick up heat. The radiation system is going to be identical. This, of course, as I've noted, this is also going to work with entities and stuff. Radiation will attach to entities. If your character gets hit by radiation, your character will have a permanent radiation effect. That radiation will be able to spread to other people, although when it spreads, it'll be like a 2% spread. it won't be something ridiculous. So that whoever gets hit by it's going to be the one most affected, and then anybody who gets nearby that person that's hit by the radiation will suffer minor exposure to radiation that isn't very high. You won't be able to get rid of the radiation effect unless your character dies, which I know half of you are just going to probably jump into a lava pit to get rid of it, which kind of defeats the purpose, but on hardcore style packs, especially hardcore PvP servers, it will be much more detrimental. I may add ways to, of course, get rid of the effect. There will be, of course, medication and stuff your character can take, chemotherapy, things like that. The ideal is, of course, is to mimic warfare better. As I noted on Twitter, a lot of the blasts are going to get severely realistic. I will implement configs for everything, though. So don't fear me kind of trying to impose my ideology on how you want to play. I'm only going to make things in a certain way, and then I'm going to let you guys customize as much as possible, as I still believe that letting somebody customize is really important. This lava didn't go away. Oh, it's still draining. I need to kind of randomize this a bit more. The biggest thing I need to probably do with the thermal is I need to modify its energy value, because I believe the energy is just radius based. There would actually be a joule value, and it would be, okay, I need 1 million joules of energy to melt a block. And you think that number's high, that actually is probably really close to how it is in real life. Sometimes you need easily a couple thousand joules of energy to just boil water. Okay, so we want to set it off here. Okay, so we're going to wait for the destruction of this to go off first. I did not get a blindness effect. So let's put a debug line into our code, and then we'll see what's going on. So we're gonna, what the hell, I'll just shoot the same spot. A little bit of latency there with that missile impact. Not too big of an issue, it's just my computer kind of having trouble keeping up with the amount of testing we've been doing. Okay, we hit our debug line. Our size is incorrectly set. Okay, that's what's problematic right now. Something's off with our size. Let's close this, close that, close all these. So our size should have been set to probably, I want to say 100. So what exactly happened? Because we have a modifier of 1, which means we shouldn't actually get any change. Add post trigger. New post trigger, add. Trigger explosive, handler cause data. Trigger cause multiplier times. Oh, shoot. Actually, no, that's fine. We should have a scale factor in there. You know, we're going to put a debug line here real quick just so I can see what that's doing. Ah, I shot myself with it. Okay, that's going to be the nuke going off. Then we should see 3 more come through here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so our next one. What kind of blast is this? That's our exothermic, so we're going to skip past that. There's our EMP, so we're going to skip past that. Okay, here's our flash. Now, if we look at the size passed in, our multiplier is 447, so yeah, needless to say, this should be a really ridiculously large explosion. We go into the blast. And of course, it's going to try to do all these methods. IntelliJ needs to like really add a way I can always skip these returns because they don't change. Okay, here we go. Okay, set location, set yield. Okay, our size is fine. Set additional tags. Okay, so oh, it's not that the size is wrong. I know what's wrong with this. Crop the world. It's refusing to run calculations because it's running outside the world. There is a is valid check that actually does run on a lot of these systems that it tries to enforce calculations to only run inside the main world. So we're gonna have to set this off again. I shot myself with it again. Just back up a little bit so. Still not nothing. It's probably our rotation code. Probably want to just test this explosive by itself, but it's a little tricky because we've kind of attached it to something and we don't have an item to test it. We're kind of stuck running, actually doing this. Let's hit save and quit, and hopefully the threads die. Or they're going to keep running. Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely work on that some more. Okay. So let's find a new spot to nuke. I wait for the world to figure out what it's doing right now. That running in the background is not helping the world load. Surprised I caught some of the trees on fire. Nuke this area so I can kill all the jungle trees. Or actually, these are dark oaks. Close enough for my opinion. It's not running. This running in the background is really hindering stuff functioning. I don't have a way to turn these off too. You know the easiest way would I just need to create a chat command that I can just kill all the threads running. You know, it's just going to be quicker rather than waiting on that to finish doing what it's doing. I'm just going to shut the game down and restart it. I'll have to deal with the threads not behaving properly. Luckily for you guys, if you are ever worried about that, just restart the client. Most people don't exit worlds and then rejoin them anyways. I need to actually read that. Okay. That email was my professor telling us that the quiz that's supposed to be happening this week is all fucked up, so Yeah, I don't get why that class even has quizzes to start with. I'm not even going to probably get the book read until next week anyway, so first couple quizzes I'm probably going to flunk. Because this week we are assigned 220 pages to read. Now, might I note I have a really slow reading rate. I used to be able to read really, really quick, and then I stopped, and then thus reading kind of doesn't function. Oh well. Not too big of a problem, though. Get this launched up, and we can test our flash bang thing. So what I probably should actually do is just really quickly code up a grenade-style item we could toss and test this, because this is what this is a flashbang. The only difference is we would actually probably be running like blindness 4 with a really high duration. Most likely what we'll end up doing is the duration is going to be modified by the distance. So the farther you're away, the less likely you are to get blindness in the first place. Then we'll start to check, once we get this working and actually getting working well, we'll start to check for certain items, like if a character's wearing sunglasses, decrease the chance of blindness. If the character's wearing proper polarized lenses, the blindness would be almost non-existent. Because what I think actually causes blindness more than just the intense light is the fact you're exposed to UV radiation, which actually will fry your retinas. But the big flash of light, like getting exposed to a camera flash, is only temporary. The stuff I'm really talking about is the more of the permanent stuff, the things that actually would affect you. It would be kind of interesting to play around with this. I actually want to see if I can mess with the shaders and stuff inside Minecraft and turn color blindness on. It'd be like, oh, you got blinded. Your vision has returned, but you're incapable of seeing these colors now. It would be so interesting to see how people react and behave to that kind of stuff. Okay, here we go. So that's running. And my debug line's there, so we should get a debug as soon as that goes off. Okay, debug line is queued. So we got our position. Entity size is still 0. Now the weird thing is that this should work. So we're gonna have to run this again, I guess, because it's gonna return 0. And what I'm also gonna do real quick to make the testing a little faster, I'm gonna turn EMP off and I'm gonna turn thermic off, and we're just gonna run the flash. That way I can come over here and just fire it again. Actually, to make testing even faster, I'm going to switch over to the smaller version of this. Go, so that's running again. So what I want to do is I want to check to see what's going on with this function here. So if we crop to the world, that should be fine. Oh, it's going to be dumb. Okay, so I mean this is sort of working. It's not getting the chunk bounce correctly is what I think is happening here. Ah, I hate when things break like this because this should be simple, yet we're having weird problems with it. I guess we're gonna switch back to the base method real quick here. So get entities with an ABB entity.class axis align bb.getBounds, and what we want to do is x y.z, duplicate these, and we want to minus by size. What we're going to do is we're going to make this actually 0, and we're going to make this 255, and then we're just going to do a range check here in a second. So we'll do that. That'll ensure we're inside the world so we won't have any weird problems. And what we want to do is if we know we're within the, we then want to go double distance equals, and we're actually going to make a location for this. We go final pause, and just do pause. That way I can recycle this data point without having to remake it every single time. So pause.distance center. I'm going to go, okay, if distance is less size. Rerun that. And then, yeah, we already are in play. Okay. So now that I've gone with a smaller explosion, this should be a little quicker. There we go. Yeah. So there's something wrong with our get entity within the cube version. This one's found so many. So let's put a debug line here because I want to find entity living. It's going to be finding a lot of shrapnel particles and stuff, which is the reason why it's having problems. Okay, so yeah, it's finding entity livings. So we're going to put a check down here then. Okay, did find somebody with an angle. That's a sheep. Distance checks out. That sheep just got blinded. Okay, so it looks like our math is working. I just got blinded too. Okay, so blindness 3. The duration is really low though. But it works out, so all I gotta do is just balance mechanic this. And then play around with it and everything else, and yeah, that'll work. So I'm gonna call this into the video, and I'll be back here later. I don't know if I'll do another video tonight or tomorrow, but I will try to get a video here soon with us doing the radiation, but I can't predict what's gonna happen per se because the next few days I am gonna be busy, and yeah. So see you guys later.